lock your doors, close your windows, say your prayers. Because tonight's true stories prove one thing: sometimes evil doesn't wait for you in the world outside. Rather, it kicks down your door and finds you where you sleep. Everyone fears a home invasion, but what broke into these homes wasn't looking for money, it was looking for blood. But what if I told you the most terrifying part isn't the criminal breaking in? It's what's already waiting in the dark. Tonight, two real families discovered that some houses don't just get robbed. Story number 1. The Sadler Street Assault, Louisville, Kentucky, 1991. Imagine, you're asleep in your own bed when you hear glass explode downstairs. Your eyes shoot open, your body frozen, because deep down, you already know someone's in your house. But this wasn't just a criminal looking for cash. This was something darker, something that wanted to hurt you. And that's exactly what happened to the Sadler family in 1991. A home invasion so terrifying. The family swore it wasn't only a man that broke in that night, but something else. The Sadlers were an ordinary family in Louisville, Kentucky. Parents, 2 kids, 1 dog. Nothing strange about their home. Until July of 1991. That night, just after 2 a.m., the father, Thomas, woke to the sound of the front door being smashed apart. He grabbed a bat from under the bed. Downstairs, a masked man stood in their living room, silent, watching, waiting. But as Thomas crept toward the stairs, the lights above him flickered violently, then cut out completely. A suffocating darkness swallowed the entire house, and that's when the intruder moved. He stormed through the living room, yanking open drawers, slamming cabinets, muttering in a low growl no one could understand. The mother, Linda, shoved their 2 children into a closet upstairs, whispering at them to stay quiet. Emily, just 7 years old, pressed her hands over her mouth in the cabinet as the masked man's footsteps pounded the staircase. But then, something strange happened. His steps echoed louder than they should have, like more than one person was climbing. Emily peeked through the crack in the closet door and swore she saw shadows trailing behind him, climbing the walls like living things. The intruder burst into the bedrooms, tearing sheets off beds, slamming doors so hard the frames cracked. But when he entered Emily's room, he froze. The closet door rattled on its own. The temperature dropped so suddenly the children's breath turned to fog in front of their faces. Emily said later, she could hear whispers inside the closet with them, even though they were the only ones hiding there. Down the hall, Thomas swung the bat, screaming at the intruder to leave. But before he could even raise the bat again, the intruder fell on his knees, clutching his head. He screamed as if something invisible was crushing him, slamming his forehead into the floor over and over. The walls trembled, doors slammed shut, and every light bulb in the house exploded at once. The Sadlers stayed hidden, paralyzed as the masked figure staggered back down the stairs, shrieking in terror. He bolted through the broken doorway into the night, leaving only silence, shattered glass, and a family too terrified to move. But what lingered after he left was worse. Emily swore the shadows stayed behind, watching, whispering, curling against the walls. She later said, it felt like the intruder didn't escape the house at all, like the house itself had dragged him deeper inside. Police arrived minutes later. They saw the destruction, the broken door, the shattered bulbs. But what unsettled them most was the air inside. Every officer noted the unnatural cold. One claimed he saw a dark figure dart up the staircase even though the family was huddled outside by then. The intruder? He was never found. Neighbors said they saw no one leave the street. Some whispered he never truly got out of that house. And Emily? For years she woke screaming at night, hearing those whispers, feeling the weight of unseen eyes pressing down on her. The Sadler home was eventually sold, but locals still avoid walking past it after dark. They say sometimes you can hear banging, door slamming, or faint whispers bleeding out through the broken siding. So what really happened that night? Was it a simple break-in that spiraled out of control? Or did the Sadlers witness something no human could explain? Comment down your opinion, and press the like button if you are a real fan of true hidden stories of haunting. We may never know what actually happened that night, but one thing is certain. Whoever or whatever entered that house in 1991 didn't leave it the same. One family invaded by darkness, but not every intruder is chased out. Sometimes it's the intruders themselves who discover they're the ones trapped. The real danger was what's already waiting inside. Not the people, but the dead. And that's exactly what happened inside the McAllister home. The McAllister House Siege, Portland, Oregon, 2007. 3 men, masked, armed, ready to take what wasn't theirs. They thought breaking into an old Victorian house would be easy money, but they didn't know the history of McAllister Street. They didn't know what still lived inside that house. And by the time they realized the truth, they were already cornered. Not by the people, but by the dead. October 31st, 2007, Halloween night. The McAllister home stood like a shadow over the neighborhood in Portland, Oregon. Built in the late 1800s, its peeling paint and towering frame earned it a reputation. Haunted. Neighbors swore they heard voices drifting out of its walls when it was empty. Others said they'd seen candlelight flicker in the windows when no one lived there. But that didn't matter to the 3 men who broke in that night. For them, it was just an old house hiding valuables. They never expected the house itself to be an evil. They forced the back door open, boots crunching against rotted floorboards. The moment they crossed the threshold, the air shifted. The temperature plummeted. Their breath clouded in front of them, visible mist curling in the darkness. Every phone they carried lost signal, screens glitching with static. Still, they pressed deeper into the house. Floorboards groaned, staircases moaned, and with each step the lights flickered violently, like the electricity was alive, pulsing with a heartbeat that wasn't theirs. The first man swore he heard a whisper right against his ear. "Leave." He spun around. No one was there. Just his friends. And the oppressive, choking dark. Inside, they heard it. A chorus of moans echoing from the walls, low and guttural, as if the house itself was alive. Furniture scraped across the floor on its own, blocking doors and windows. And then they saw them. Figures, faint, translucent, Victorian men and women standing in doorways, drifting across hallways, their faces pale, their eyes empty, their voices murmuring warnings. "Leave this place." The intruders panicked. One aimed his flashlight, only to see the beam pass through a woman in a long black dress. Another was shoved so hard he flew backward against the wall, yet no one had touched him. Outside, neighbors later reported hearing screams, shattering glass, the unmistakable sound of fists pounding against the inside of the windows. Police were called. They expected vandals. What they found instead was chaos. The front door burst open as the 3 men ran out, pale, trembling, one of them bleeding from a gash across his chest. Officers swore they saw something inside, a shadow moving against the walls long after the intruders fled. When police searched the house, there was no sign of forced violence other than what the men had caused themselves. No intruder waiting upstairs, no one hiding in the shadows, and yet the temperature inside remained impossibly cold. Every officer noted the feeling like being watched, like being warned. The 3 men never spoke publicly about what they saw. Some say they refused to, terrified of being mocked. Others say they were simply too scared to put it into words. But locals believe the McAllister spirits are real, that the house protects itself. So ask yourself, what really happened that Halloween night? Did 3 criminals stumble into a haunted trap, or did the past rise up to defend its home? You've just heard 2 real stories where home invasions became something far darker, something unexplainable. The Sadler Street Assault, where shadows whispered in the dark, and the McAllister Siege, where intruders learned the dead still guard their homes. And if you thought these invasions were terrifying, you need to watch 12 banned places you can never visit, and the conjuring truth that Hollywood will never tell you. Click now if you dare. These are the kinds of stories we keep locked away inside the hidden horror vault. So if you want to unlock more, make sure you're subscribed, because the next nightmare might be worse, and if you have experienced such things earlier, share your story in comments.